Hey Ninja Warriors, welcome to Warrior Wednesday. And we're officially halfway through May, believe it or not. And one of the things I love about the East Coast is, if you do live on the East Coast, is how unpredictable sometimes the weather is. And so the past couple of days, actually past over the weekend, we had like a lot of rain. It was cold. It felt like we were reverting back to winter. And if you live on the East Coast, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I do love how unpredictable the weather is in general. So, hey, Carl. Hey, Sean. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. One of the beautiful things about the East Coast is when it rains, it pours, I think. I think it could be looked at in a positive way. And, the rain brings beautiful flowers. So we're in the month of spring, flowers will come up, and I like to think of flowers as blooming and all that beautiful stuff. So if you're tuning in here live, welcome, say hello so I can say what's up. And if you're catching the replay, comment with hashtag replay so I can, say what's up as well and say yo. Thanks for tuning in. So, all right. So, hey, Carl. Hey. If I know you're tuning in, first of all, and one of the reasons that you're tuning in is because you are driven and ambitious. Otherwise, you would not be tuning in to Warrior Wednesday. And one of the things that I love about doing weekly Warrior Wednesdays is I tune into the collective consciousness of what's going on with people, and I share content. My intention is to share valuable content that would support you in moving yourself forward in the direction that you're going in life. Hey, Mike, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. So, if we haven't met yet, and if this is the first time you're tuning in to Warrior Wednesday, my name is Zena Solomon, and I'm here to support you and guide you in reinventing yourself and realizing your dreams, bringing life to your dreams, so that you can live a life by design versus a life by default, and in the process, be in alignment. You get to be in alignment with your vision, values, passion, and purpose. That's what I'm up to. So this week's Warrior Wednesday is about keeping your promise. Are you keeping your promise to yourself? And what are some ways that some tips that you can, or strategies that you can utilize to keep your own promises to yourself. So my first question for you, as you're here live and as you're tuning in and you're catching the replay, is first of all, my question for you is, are you treating yourself like you would treat a friend, a coworker, a family member as far as keeping your promises? So think about it this way. When you have a friend or you have a coworker or your boss or a family member, do you find yourself keeping promises with other people but lacking in terms of keeping promises to yourself? If that's you, say yes. Comment below and say yes. And I'm not here to call you out by any means. That's part of being human. I was that person as well, where I used to be great at fulfilling other people's needs, but I didn't fulfill my own needs, if that makes sense. I had a season in my life where I was doing that. So yeah, hey Sean, thanks for saying hi. Yeah, I totally hear ya with the rain. So my question for you is, do you find yourself in that space where you're giving to people, but you're not giving to yourself? You're keeping promises to people, but you're not keeping promises to yourself. So I want you to ask yourself, so you're in the awareness space and like you're mindful of it and being aware of it. So I want to speak into what is a promise. And first of all, you're not alone if you're doing this, okay? Because that's just part of being human. And a promise basically is, I looked it up because I want to say, okay, what is a promise? What are we talking about here, right? So a promise is an agreement. It's a contract that you have with yourself. It's a commitment. It's a declaration. It's a vow that you have either for yourself or for others on something that you're doing or not doing, or you're promising to do or not do. Okay, so that's what a promise is, okay? And there are benefits and there are consequences of either keeping a promise to yourself and others and or not keeping a promise to yourself and others, right? So I want to start with the consequences, because I think a lot of times people are motivated more. Some people are motivated by fear more than they're motivated by pleasure. So I want to speak into that first. So if you're the type of person that, for example, don't fulfill your own promises to yourself, like you find yourself constantly breaking your own promises to yourself, the consequences of that is essentially you're saying to yourself that you're unimportant. subconsciously. It's not that you intentionally want to do that. You subconsciously are saying that you're not important. And at the same time, one of the things that you're doing is when you're not valuing yourself and valuing your time with yourself, it's sort of like you're saying you're not worthy, you're not valuable, you're not important. So those are the consequences. It affects your confidence as well, because notice this, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not taking care of your needs, if you're not fulfilling your needs, then you're breaking your promise, and that's going to affect your confidence. So that's the consequence of that. Now, the benefit of you keeping the promise to yourself is that it boosts your confidence when you keep your promise to yourself, and also reminds you of how valuable and how worthy you are, because you're keeping your own promise. And it also fills up your tank, because when you fill up your tank, you have the capacity to give more to other people. But if you don't fill up your own tank, how can you give if you're not full? You know what I'm saying? There's no way, right? So the 6 tips for you to be on track with keeping your promises to yourself. Okay, are you ready? If you're tuning in, hey Zip here. Thanks for tuning in, love. Thanks for saying hi. So the first tip is you want to write it down. You want to write it down, and you want to make it your top priority and schedule it. If you don't schedule it, it ain't happening. That's just like the reality of it. So schedule your appointment with yourself. You never miss an appointment with a doctor. You never miss an appointment for your kids' doctor's appointments or other appointments. You don't miss your appointment with your boss. But why would you miss an appointment with yourself? You know what I'm saying? And an appointment with yourself or a promise for yourself could be anything. It could be something like going to the gym. It could be something like going for a walk. It could be meditating. It could be writing a business plan for a business that you're working. It could be writing a book or writing a book project, or it could be working on your business. It could be anything, like whatever that promise is for yourself, right? So you want to write it down. You want to make it a priority. You want to schedule it, and you don't want to miss that appointment. And if you're finding yourself missing that appointment, you want to ask yourself, well, why am I missing the appointment? Okay. So that's number 1. Number 2, you want to be specific, and you want to make it visible. You want to make it in front of you so you see it. Out of sight, out of mind. That's my world. If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. I'm sure a lot of people fall in this category, right? So put a Post-it note. If a Post-it note supports you, put a Post-it note. Put a reminder on your calendar. Remind yourself of what that commitment, promises that you have for yourself, and stick to it. Keep it, okay? So you want to be specific and make it visible. Number 3, you want to be intentional about your daily actions, right? So be intentional. Set an intention the night before on what you're promising for yourself the next day and follow through on it. Make sure that you follow through. And if you lack follow through, then you want to look into that, okay? Number 4, you want to track your progress and your success. I don't know about you, but I like to keep things fun. So if it's not fun, I ain't doing it. So that's just my style. And most people like to keep things fun and entertaining. So you want to track your progress, track your small wins. Small wins lead to big wins. So you want to track your small wins. You want to journal it, and you want to look at, okay, what's working, what's not working. So that's a huge, huge opportunity. So make it fun, like track your win, all right? Number 5, I hope I got my thing right. Number 5, enroll other people to stand with you and ask them to support you. Have an accountability partner, hire a coach, have other people support you on this journey, okay? And then finally, create a reward system for yourself when you keep your promise. So ask yourself, how will I celebrate keeping a week of promises to myself? How am I going to celebrate that? So those are your 6 tips. And I know I went a little fast, so you can go back and rewind and catch what the 6 tips are. I want to leave you with this quote. Zig Ziglar said, when you make a promise, keep it. So that means when you make a promise even to yourself, you get to keep it. So your mission this week is to share what it is that you're promising yourself starting from today. So if you're finding yourself, there's something you've been promising yourself and you keep breaking that promise to yourself, then your commitment is, okay, what am I promising myself today moving forward? And like no shit, you're going to get it done. Okay. So if you could share that, let us support you. Let me support you. And yeah, and share that. And if you find this video supportive and helpful, tag other people who get to listen to this message, because you know what? Everyone gets to keep their own promises to themselves. All right. So I hope you found value in this content. Thank you so much for tuning in on Warrior Wednesday. See you next week, same time, same station, 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, and sayonara. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.